Okay, Voncast Show, episode 11, and today I have a very special guest. Her name is Clad. How's it going?
I'm good. So
Awesome. First, I have to say you have a very unique name. That's a very cool name.
Yes.
And second, so Clad graduated the same semester I did. Congratulations on graduating.
Hey, you too, man.
Thank you. What was your major?
I majored in psych, but I focused more on business management in my minor.
Okay.
So it's focused on HR, human resources.
All right, cool. And how's life treating you after college?
It's kind of low pressure. I like it.
That's good.
I mean, you get like your existential crisis every now and then.
Oh, yeah, I get those.
But it's so much more relaxing without midterms.
Okay, cool. So, how did you get into photography? For those of you who don't know, Clad is a freelance photographer.
Okay, so it's kind of weird, but it was right after we lowered my grandma's coffin into the ground.
Mm-hmm. Morbid gang, we out here.
It's always morbid. Everything's morbid. But I was like 12 or 13, and then my mom just handed me like her small Canon PowerShot, like digital point and shoot camera we just had it for touristy reasons, family stuff.
Mm.
And then she told me to hold it for her, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna mess around with it because it's kind of cool. So I saw the digital screen and I was like, oh, that's so cool. It makes stuff look like movies. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to try this out.
Yeah.
So I walked to the funeral flowers. Like, oh, there's flowers everywhere. Might as well take advantage of it. And then there's this really fully bloomed blue rose that someone got for my grandma. And then I just like took a photo of it.
Yeah.
And then I swear it looked like one of those Google stock photos that you find that people buy for no reason.
Right.
So, like right now, like flower photos are kind of like overdone, but it's just not usual that someone does something and find out they're good at it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I wasn't a prodigy, but it was like my one gifted talent that came out of nowhere.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's a very interesting situation. That's very unique though. I mean, I see in your photography like you're pretty good. I mean, I don't know how to do photography, but from what I can see and visually, like absorb, I don't know what I'm saying. It's really good. You're very talented.
It's hard to explain photography.
Yeah,
it's kind of different from other art forms,
Right. So that was your first camera. What camera do you use today?
I have a mirrorless Sony A7. If people don't know what it is, it's kind of a $2,000 camera.
Wow.
I mean, that's usual for the field, but I pretty much have a heart attack every time I like lose sight of it.
Yeah.
Or like when I'm out and about and I'm like, wait, where is it? Oh, it's around my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's a DSLR or is it point and shoot?
It's pretty much a DSLR, but without the mirror. It makes it less bulky.
Right.
And then you can see right away in the screen what you're actually taking a photo of.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. I'm trying to get into vlogs right now. I'm trying to figure out like which camera's what. And from what I can see, cameras are very expensive. Mm-hmm. And if it's like a $2,000 camera, I'd be so like, I'd have anxiety all the time carrying it.
Right? Oh,
yeah. That's like 4 months worth of rent for me.
I know.
On my neck.
My parents actually helped me pay for it with the help of my boyfriend.
Nice. Shouts out all the supporting boyfriends out there.
Yeah, right?
We out here.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But, like, at first I was like, are you serious? You got this? Mm-hmm. Like, now I'm going to have a heart attack every time I use it. But it's so worth it.
Yeah.
Just because of what I use it for. It's so light and compact. So that means I can bring it anywhere. Like,
right.
If I feel like wandering around, it fits in my purse. That's how small it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I can take it to so many more places, and therefore I can take so much more pictures.
Right. Very cool. So describe to us what would be your ideal photography adventure day. You have a website, which I'll plug in later, but I noticed you go on these like photo adventures. Like I saw one about like Digimon versus Pokemon, the free museum day. Mm-hmm. And when you and your boy went to like across the country or something.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about like what your ideal photography day would be?
So ideally it would probably just be walking around with my camera, with another photographer friend, but we wouldn't have any destination. no curfew, because usually like photo walks will go like hours and hours on, and we wouldn't really have a project in mind, so it would just be like hours of aimless shooting, and because of spending so much time together, you end up having deep philosophical questions and conversations along the way.
Okay.
So one of the best photo days that I've had actually was something like the photo walk I had with my boyfriend. This was when we were still in each other's friend zones.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like really still attached to my then boyfriend, now ex, but back then, this was around 2014. I had lost my passion for photography because I just wasn't improving.
Right.
And then my ex kind of got like repeatedly annoyed with how much time I was investing in photography instead of him. Okay, that sounds bad. But
No. I think like if that happens, then you gotta really check themselves. Like, like, is this person the right person for you? This is your passion. I mean, I get it. Like, if you're always photography, but they should support you in a sense, right?
Yeah, but we were still growing up.
Right.
We were like 2019. Like, it's not that much different from how old we are. We're only like 3 years older than that now.
It's a big difference.
It's you
huge.
Grow up within those years.
Yeah,
especially like 19, you're kind of understanding how different you are from society and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, going back to the story, so I wasn't shooting anymore. I was only pretty much shooting for my position in school, which was a student government photographer. But then Joe comes along and he's like, why don't you shoot anymore? You should go plan to shoot one day. So we do, and then we just drive down the road from our favorite cafe, Crave Cafe. Hey, shout out.
Hey.
They got good crepes. So we just parked by this cool bookstore. I think it's called Bookstar. And then we just took our cameras and then walked down the road for 8 hours.
8 hours. You walked. 8 hours? Because, you can get from LA to San Francisco in 6 hours.
I know.
Just out there. That's cool.
I don't know how it lasted that long because we stopped at In-N-Out on Ventura and Van Nuys. But then it somehow lasted 8 hours because we walked pretty slow. We stopped and like took photos of like the sun and light and whatnot. And then we just talked about the deepest things. Yeah, like some of the stuff we talked about was why don't we do the things that make us happy? Why do we care so much about what other people think, even though you don't even care about that person?
Yeah.
Why do we spend so much time on people that makes us miserable?
Right.
Yeah, so it was like 2 a.m. and we were just talking, and we both realized that we never really talked to other people about these things. These were really vulnerable questions.
Yeah.
And then we realized that night that we were really important to each other. So then we went home, and that was when we officially best friend zoned each other.
Okay, that's a romantic story. Wow, this is cute. I mean, like,
except we were like friend zoning each other the whole time.
Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. I mean, yeah, when you do stuff like this, yeah, you're with someone, and it's a very like, you're just like walking around taking pictures. Yeah, I guess you'd talk about those, but those are very good questions to raise with anyone, really. And especially if both of you are in photography, I think that's great. If your significant other is into the same craft or passion that you are, I think you can grow on a different level other than just the relationship. Y'all can like share insiders on like photography and stuff, and have a connection through photography. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's something about being an artist or in general, or like just doing art in general makes you question why you do things the way you do. Yeah. And then you get to know yourself, you get to know other people better. Right. And it just encourages introspection.
Yeah, definitely. I can say with the whole happiness thing, I mean, a lot of times when we're younger, we want to do all these creative and like lucrative things.
Lucrative, yeah.
Be an astronaut for one. And all these passions you have, but then like as you get older, little by little, like society tells you, oh, you have to do this, you have to, major in these
safe jobs.
Yeah, safe jobs. They're safe. Like being a nurse, you're Filipino, I'm Filipino. Yo, are you drinking vodka? Damn, you out here
This
in
is
the
water.
flat. Okay, okay.
All my friends
Shouts
see me
out.
bust this out, and it is water, guys.
Shouts out. Clad got a flask, sipping vodka at
It's
like
sold
2:51.
by Outdoor Adventures.
Well, yeah,
TM.
I was kidding. So yeah. So you're told to be like a nurse or do something safe because it's financially stable. But then like there's this inner struggle within yourself, like, oh, I want to pursue what I want to do, but then like, oh, I want my parents happy. So there's that struggle that a lot of people I think go through.
Yeah.
And I think if you're able to balance those, I think that's you achieve something.
Or maybe even just want less so that you have to make less.
That's very true. I think you're right, because we have all these things in our head. Oh, I have to get a house. I have to get a nice car, all this nice stuff, when you don't really need it. I mean, maybe like if you funnel your money through everything else, like, camera equipment, or for me, like studio time and stuff, I'm happy.
Yeah,
like
splurge on what you love.
Yeah, like I rent a room out for $520 and I don't have a car, but hey, I'm using my money to like pay rent and stuff, but like do music and podcasting, like that's a good life for me. Like I'm content. I'm actually happy. Like I don't have like a 6-figure job yet, or nor do I want one really. Cool if I got one, but it's not like.
But you would have to be spending like 50 hours on that.
Yeah, and if you do all those kind of jobs, you're so tired at the end of the day. What are you gonna?
Yeah, what are you doing with your life in the end of the day?
Yeah,
to be honest.
You're not gonna take photos or do music. I'd be so tired. I'd want to go home and sleep. Okay, a little sidetracked there.
True stuff though.
Yeah. So could you list some of your favorite photography moments you've had?
I don't think there's anything specific, but I would say that photo moments, it happens often, and it pretty much tells me it inspires me within that like millisecond. And that happens a lot when I'm just walking, exploring with my camera, like I've said before, and then just for the sake of exploring, I guess.
Yeah.
And then what usually happens is I'll see a scene that's beautiful.
Right.
Like, okay, beauty is questionable, but in this topic, it would be something that's like either beautiful or interesting or just particularly captivating to me as Clad. It doesn't have to be how the way other people see it. So I just stop and capture it, and then I put my camera down and I just experience the scene that I just captured and allow myself to be present within that moment. That could be like when I'm witnessing the sunset hit the mountains, or breathing in the ocean breeze and listening to the waves crash, or maybe just watching people in cars pass by. Within that moment, I just kind of immerse myself so that when I look back at the photo I took, I remember the feeling of being there, and it's almost like I can vividly relive it.
That's really deep. No, that's good. Wow. When you were saying all that stuff, I was processing it. So that's what makes you like snap a shot.
Yeah, if you want, like, life passes by so fast. It happens literally in milliseconds. So when you stop by to capture it, you're taking sort of like a memento or a souvenir within that moment.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very great way to describe that. Because you're right. I mean, you're documenting like visual memories. And you're right, and that's really cool that you can use photography to live in the moment, because a lot of times we're either living in the past or in the future. But I guess, yeah, when you are holding your camera and taking a picture, like you have to focus, like no pun intended, really focus on the subject, and then you click and it's like, wow, I'm like alive, I'm right here. You're not thinking about anything else.
But I think some people have to remember to put down the camera sometimes. Like they take like 1 billion photos of the sunset, but they never actually see it with their own eyes because the whole time they were looking through the camera.
That's right. I find myself doing that a lot with Snapchat sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like if I'm at like a concert or whatever, and you're just watching through your phone and not experiencing it.
Yeah, what did you pay for? You can see that on Instagram the whole time.
That's true. Very true. Okay, so do you have any crazy photography stories?
Ooh, I when you gave me this question, I was like, yes, I'm so ready.
Let's go.
So this criminal flipped me off.
Okay. How do you know they were a criminal?
Oh, because the cops were there.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, so I used to work for the campus newspaper at CSUN, like the Sundial.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And we had this police radio scanner thing, whatever they call it. We had one in the newsroom. So we were just kind of chilling, doing our work. It was kind of already like in the after hours of school. And then we hear the scanner say that there's a high-speed chase that ended nearby the campus. Like, where the Wells Fargo bank is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like across Boba Maite. So they strapped this camera on me with this like giant freaking telephoto lens that's like longer than my arm. So they'd send me running to where the police say they were. And I'm literally running like a paparazzi, like how they show on TMZ.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like going towards the police scene. There's like 5-10 police cars. And I'm like 4'10", okay? So I have like to take twice as many steps as normal people.
Yeah.
But I get there. I get there and I'm dying. But I get there and then, so the police pretty much have the bank area surrounded. And then I'm like waving around my press pass so that they don't kick me out right away.
Right.
And then I see the paramedics taking the guy that they were chasing. Like he was on a stretcher and they had him like hella strapped in there so that he doesn't like go crazy. But he seemed fine. He was okay. He was conscious, so that was good. Like didn't mean any harm to any human beings. But he was kind of like dirty. Like his face kind of had asphalt on it, so they might have tackled him to the ground. And he sees me with my giant lens pointing at him, so he like flips me off with both hands like the whole time. And he like stares me down until they finally close the ambulance doors.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, that was the epitome of journalism.
That's crazy.
Photos.
Wait, so you're allowed to go in the crime scenes? Isn't that kind of dangerous?
I mean, they had it like, what is that? Police taped off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that when like bystanders start to get a little too crowdy.
Right.
I was able to go farther than the bystanders.
Wow, that is pretty crazy. You have a police scanner in the Sundial? It's interesting.
I mean, I don't know how legal that is.
Yeah. Allegedly. I think you used your spider senses.
Yeah, they just heard about it on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. It's everywhere. So you're a photographer. I've had photographers do photos for me for like my music and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And I get freaking nervous. I don't know why. Like, I don't smile much. I don't like smiling. I think I can only smile when something's funny. And then when I smile, it has to be real. But a lot of times we do a fake smile, like a grin.
Right.
What do you tell clients if they're nervous in front of the camera?
Man, okay. Actually, I feel this because when you have photographer friends, you end up in front of the camera. Like, of course, if there's 10 cameras around you, you're gonna end up there.
Right.
So I got used to it, but it still happens where I'm like, oh, this is cringy and awkward and embarrassing.
Yeah.
So when people like you, when people do feel awkward and weird in front of the camera, I can totally relate, and I get it. I don't just tell them like, oh, just smile. So instead, I say something along the lines of like, hey, yo, you got this.
Right.
I'm gonna make you look. I got this. I'm gonna make you look so good, dude.
Yeah.
Like you look so good, you don't even know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, like so sometimes if it boosts their confidence, because they're probably like thinking in their head what the image looks like. So I just show them the first few shots, and then usually it shows them like how good they look.
Mm-hmm.
So then they, like, hopefully.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they go like, oh snap, that looks so legit, and then they go back in front of the camera like a totally new person, more confident and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, that would help. That would make me feel more comfortable, I think. Also, I learned when I started playing music on my phone, I'm like more relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. I'll have to try that sometime. I think we answered this already, but like, I guess you did answer what are things you look for in a photograph and how you know when to capture the moment, right? Or did you want to go elaborate on that a little more?
Well, the thing is with portraits specifically, I know when, it might be my psychology background, but I know when people are showing their true selves.
Really?
I become more intuitive in that sense.
Uh-huh.
So like you said, when your smile looks a little fake, I try to tell them a funny story.
That helps.
Or if they're with someone, I tell that person to make the client laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was one time, like for BSA, I told he was really nervous, so I told him to think about his big face, and for some reason that made him laugh, and I just snapped it right when he laughed, and it looked like a real smile. Or if they look tense, I actually tell them to take a deep breath and exhale, and then I tell them to look down at the ground for a bit until I tell them to look up. So during that time, I let them meditate for a few seconds, let them get used to being in front of the camera, so that by the time I tell them to look back at the camera, they look so much more natural and relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I have to do this a couple of times because like I can see the difference. Like
Right.
they relax a little bit, but they're not quite there yet. But then you can really see in the beginning of the shoot, like the photos in the beginning of the shoot, they're super tense, and then by the end of the shoot, they're like themselves, and that's so much better.
Isn't it weird that people are so relaxed at themselves on Instagram and Snapchat, but when you have a professional camera and a professional photographer, it's a whole different ballgame. For me, it is.
I mean, it's also like the difference between like the selfie camera.
Oh yeah, it's this camera's like small and like a camera's like huge. Yeah,
and you can see yourself too in the selfies. So
yeah,
it's
kind of
totally
interesting. All right,
What was
so
the question again? I totally sidetracked.
no, you did it right. Like, what are some things you look for in a photograph? How do you know when you want to capture the moment? You talked about pretty much in a portrait format, which is different. So that's good.
Well, I have another thing to say about that.
Okay, great.
Well, I actually don't like focusing on the technical aspects of photography. I'm not really a gearhead. Like, you can see me like struggling naming some things, but I don't really have straightforward answers for question to ask how or what, because I tend to focus on the why of photography. So photography for me has been kind of like a tool for self-discovery. It's helped me understand myself better. A lot of times I don't realize why I choose to capture something until I actually take a step back and see a pattern in my photos. So for example, I realized that, like I mentioned, I'm very intrigued by people's natural state. Like when they're most vulnerable, it's almost like seeing their true selves, which they don't usually let the world see. So that's why my favorite portraits are the ones where I have to put them in the meditative state, and they suddenly look so much more grounded and present and existing. And then besides portraits, I also tend to like photos that are more peaceful and serene. And I kind of realized that I do that, not just because it's cliche. Like a lot of people have been taking photos like that, but it's because I don't have a lot of peace and quietness in my life. So when life is kind of stressful and things are moving so fast, I am able to take a look back at my photos and remember like what that millisecond of peace felt like.
Wow. So that's a form of like to kind of escape everyday like stress. You just you just find your camera. Wow, that's really good. I'm really glad that you found a positive outlet to like help out with like, all the negative stuff in your life, and also it's also coincidentally like a passion you pursue.
It just happened together.
Yeah, no, that's great. I like that whole peaceful thing. Yeah, I mean, because life right now, it's pretty tough. I mean, if you're living in America and you're a person of color, it's kind of tough.
Goodness.
Luckily we're in California, but I mean, in general, it's hectic. All the disasters and everything going on.
Oh yeah.
It's nice just to like, find that peace, through something. And yeah. Do you have anything else to say about the stuff, or?
I think that's it. Hopefully, we'll find out in the next few months if something changes.
Cool. Okay, so you mentioned boba. This is a random question. What boba? Which boba place do you frequent?
Oh my goodness!
I'm just wondering. I'm not judging here. I'm not judging.
Okay, I actually base my boba store preferences under Thai tea.
Okay.
So like you have a control group, and that control group is Thai tea. So the best Thai tea for me with creaminess and whatnot is boba my tea.
Okay.
But I don't really like the vibe, so I try to go to Bon Bon. But,
Okay, that's it. We're Bon. No, I'm kidding.
but their parking sucks so bad.
Yeah.
But I always end up at TNT.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Parking, Bon, work on it. Yeah, I'm gonna edit that so it sounds like you just picked Bon. I'm kidding.
If you didn't know, he has a boba war.
What bubble? I didn't start it. Tiffany, Ty, you started this. I'm gonna finish it. Real talk. This is a little Bon talking right here. Young meme, aka little Bon. We out here. I'm coming for you with your little your like subliminal shots at me. Good, whatever. Okay, calm down. Back to the podcast. Okay, so can you talk to us about the CSUN Photography Club? I didn't know it existed. Did you make that up?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so before I started talking about it, it was pretty much unheard of.
Yeah, I've never. It's not in the the club, meet the club thing. I don't.
Yeah, they were never at Meet the Clubs.
Okay. It's like a Fight Club kind of thing.
No, it was. They mostly talked about it within the art department.
Okay.
The art department is kind of like detached.
It's like an island.
Yeah, detached from the whole campus, and not a lot.
It's
of people
really
know
nice.
about it. Yeah, I like the colors there.
Mm-hmm.
So they focused on the art students, and they only talked about it within the art students. So by art students, I mean people that have taken like multiple classes and possibly major in art. So when I got involved with it, I started spreading it out more to like, oh, I know a ton of photographer friends, so I'm just gonna let them know about it, and then might as well talk about it, meet the clubs and whatnot, post about it. And then because of that, all the students that were in the rest of the campus were able to know about it, and they were able to go. But funny story, I actually got kicked out of the club.
Why?
Well, like
you don't have to. You don't have to go into details. But.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give the gist of it because I respect them. I like no big deal. So I ran the club differently and welcomed everyone that was interested in photography, and then I provided them with various activities and opportunities to learn. But there was like we didn't agree in the mission. The advisor and I and some of the art students, which I understand.
Yeah.
They have a high regard for higher education for art, which I'm like, dang, if you want to invest in that, go for it. But then there was a miscommunication between the club advisor and I, and just an overall misunderstanding of the club's purpose. So when I graduated, I didn't really know how to put on successors for the club or any of the club AS papers. So she re-seized the club and appointed new officers. So now it's strictly a fine art photography club. If you're just dabbling in it, no, you can't really go there. You can't really participate. And there's a membership criteria that you have to take at least one photo club. Photo class, I mean, and be a current CSUN student. So being a current CSUN student criteria, I am no longer eligible, and I'm out.
But if you're just dabbling in fun, I like that you brought that aspect into it because I can understand photography becoming something very serious and very technical, and that might cause you to lose your passion for it. Yeah,
I mean, you can't just say that art is one thing and not another.
It's subjective.
Because that's what art is. Art is a malleable thing, and that's why you have art history. But once again, they have their own point of view, and I totally understand it.
Right, definitely.
But because of that, I started my own unaffiliated club.
Oh, wow.
It's actually just pretty much a Facebook group, but because it's online, it's totally open for everybody.
That's cool.
And right now, I've talked about a few collaborations that other clubs have opened up opportunities for students, and just shared opportunities. Like my friend Corey Wong is actually lecturing at College of the Canyons right now.
I saw that.
Yeah, he's gonna lecture at 7 p.m. over there, and I guess it's just him because he recently went into modeling agencies and getting more professional models, and it has upped his game a lot.
Wow, I need him on the podcast. I actually hit him up.
Yeah, you should.
I remember you two from VSA, but I'm sorry, back to your story.
Oh, yeah. So It's called Photography and Exploration with Clad and Cl.Devi David. I had to put my name so that like I don't get kicked out again.
Right.
And then you can just search it up on Facebook to join, and then I like accept request. And then other than that, there's like a USC photo shoot. I think the registration is closed now, but that was pretty cool that I was able to share that. And I also encourage all the other people to share their photos, so that people can inspire each other. And it's just an overall like trying to help others grow and learn.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool that you're helping make photography accessible to everyone who may not be a seasoned student or may not have as much photography background. So with that said, what advice can you give to an aspiring photographer?
You have to know yourself. You have to find out why you like photography, why you even like which photographs you like and which you don't like, and why. You have to find out what you like and don't like in life in general, actually, because that will help you be more conscious of what you shoot. Because if you don't know why you shoot what you shoot, you won't know what to shoot next. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I guess I'm really bad at reading, but my boyfriend showed me these books that have already changed my life. I'm not even done reading it yet, and it's already changed me. There's this book called A Beautiful Anarchy by David Duchovny, and it just talks about how life is too short to be dedicating your life for other people. So it's about like creating your own life, and it's super deep, and everything
That's
he says
very
is so profound. And like once I read it, I can't go to sleep, which might be a bad thing to read it at night. But there's also like all these YouTube channels like Mango Street that helps you refine what you want to get what you want out of photography. And this other girl named Jessica, I don't remember her last name, she compares different styles of photographers so that you kind of understand which ones you like and don't like. And then I've heard about some friends that are struggling in the field of photography, but I think I would want to say to them, if there are people that are better and more popular than you, you have to accept that's fine, because those people may not necessarily be better photographers, but they might be better marketers or better teachers or better networkers. So if you see someone that's really popular with mediocre work, you can think, wow, if he can sell that, then he must be really good at marketing. Because okay, I respect that skill, like, you know what I mean?
Right. Same thing can be said with some of the music out. Whereas now in hip-hop, or I don't know, other genres, like talent is like not even really there. You know, it's not the deciding factor. It's your social media presence, it's your popularity, and it's your charisma. I had no idea that it also translates into photography as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just the way the internet has affected our life,
right.
I think. And then also, if you see someone that's popular or has amazing work compared to yours, and then you think, oh man, how am I ever going to get to that level? Like, why am I not there yet? Like, you have to accept that that's fine, that someone has gotten to that level.
Right.
Because, you know, improvements happen over time. And then putting in the stress to try to skip those steps, it's not worth it. It's like trying to cram an entire textbook overnight, you know, into your head before the exam. But like, this is life. There's no exam. There's no deadline. You just take your time, explore the world, ask questions, and learn. And before you know it, you'd have grown, not just like as a photographer or musician, but as a person.
Right. Very cool. I like that advice. Yeah. No, I like that. I'm like thinking about it. It's good. Yeah. I had no idea that like the popularity thing transcends to photography, because when you take photos, it's usually like other people. I thought there was like really no face to the photographer. You know, you just take these pictures, it's the person's name. You
can totally see this, like, the stylistic difference. You can almost see what photographer A is thinking compared to photographer B. Like they were taking a photo of the same model or the same person. Photographer A might be focusing on the clothes, so he pulls back more and focuses on the clothes more, but then photographer B wants to capture the personality of the person more, so they like focus more on the emotions and like try to pick the right times to take the shot.
Right. Wow, very interesting. Thank you for giving us this insight on photography. No, this is very interesting to me. I like learning about new things, and the way you phrase it, it's so like I'm trying to apply myself in that position.
In music too, yeah.
Yeah, so when you're saying like, when I see things I like, I just, take a picture, and I don't know how to really explain it. You're doing a very good job explaining something that's like visual. All right, so we have like 12 minutes left. I'm gonna like skip over some questions.
Okay.
Are there any challenges you face in photography recently or in general as a result from your ethnicity and gender?
Oh my goodness. Oh heck yes.
Okay, we'll just, that'll be like the main question. Yeah.
Okay. It's really subtle because people, okay, at least in California, they're not blatantly discriminating, but you know when it's there.
Yeah.
There's actually this lyric from Childish Gambino where he says, subtle racism, it's hard to pin it because you'd only understand it if you were me for just a minute. Yeah, and then for me, it's not just racism, it's actually like a mixed disadvantage with being brown and being a woman, and then like add looking like a freaking teenager on top of all that.
Intersectionality.
I'm 23 by the way, but I look 15.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of times where it kind of felt like if I was in a room full of photographers for some events, it kind of felt like I was treated like my friend's model, or even worse, like I was his assistant or something.
Yeah.
And we're both photographers, okay? We're both in the intermediate level. But there's just this really visible difference in the lack of respect that I'm given compared to my male counterpart.
Right.
I mean, it makes sense. I get it. I fit the image of an assistant sometimes, and I am an assistant by profession. But, and then sometimes I dress like a mediocre Instagram model. But if I was a tall dude, like with like the same personality, Clad's personality, and like Clad's style of clothing, I probably wouldn't be mistaken as anything but a photographer in a room full of photographers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I couldn't imagine what that's like as a, I'm not a woman and seeing that. No, but that's an issue that I think a lot of women face in different industries. It'd be photography or business, not taken too seriously. So what advice do you have for women in general, like in this genre, in this industry that face these problems? Like, how do you deal with it? I mean, do you show them up with your work? Like, hey, this is my work,
I think like knowing myself has been a huge help. So that when someone tells me to be one thing, I would know for sure that that's not me.
Right.
And then just like taking control of conversations, because like it takes a lot of work to catch your subconscious from saying like things that might affect other people. So I get that people don't realize when they say something that's a little,
it's like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, like for example, like a lot of the conversations happens more often than I like. It's where someone would be like talking to me about the basics of photography for a while, and then they ask, like out of courtesy, they say, so how long have you been shooting? And then I say like, oh, about 10 years. And they're like, wait, how old are you? Like, how did you start shooting so young? And then I say, well, I started 13 and I'm 23 now. And then they'll be like, whoa, what, 23? I thought you were 15. And it's like, it's a pretty understandable mistake to make. But then if you think about it, that also means that the whole conversation prior to that question, that person has been talking to me like I was an inexperienced 15-year-old.
Right.
And that wouldn't have happened if I was a tall dude. It's just a huge difference with how they treat you. So when that happens, I just kind of like, come on, like I'm your fellow photographer, and I think treating people equally,
Yeah.
has earned me that equal respect back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am still like on the journey of trying to be treated equally, so I can't give any good advice right now, but it's just like being aware of yourself and others and why people like think the way they do. It has helped a lot.
Yeah. That's tough. You know, I'm glad you're able to share experiences. Randomly, my mom is 4'10".
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Filipino
Yeah.
genes are strong.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's crazy. It's unfortunate that women and women of color have to deal with these issues.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're kind of progressing.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. I think social media and internet, as negative as it can be, it's showing everyone else that, you know, you don't have to fit this like stereotype of what your profession is to be in there.
And even I think if questioning what a photographer looks like,
Yeah.
that like, or just letting people know that like, hey, look, I'm 4'10", I'm a small looking Asian woman that takes photos for freelance. Look,
Takes
it's
good
possible.
photos.
Yeah, just telling people that it's possible.
Yeah.
It helps break that that image.
Okay, cool. So we're almost out of time, but where can we find you on social media?
Okay, so I'm actually, I mentioned Cl.Devi. That's actually like a pen name to try to surpass subtle sexism.
Oh, that makes sense. Like your rap name, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
So depending on what you want. So if you want like my services, then you can find my social media portfolio on Instagram, Cl.Devi, Devi, and then you can also find me on Facebook under Clad, Cl.Devi photography. But if you like want to hear my life stories or my political rants, then you can just follow me on Instagram under just Clad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Clad. Thank you for the insightful conversations and your really descriptive descriptions on photography. I'm so rusty on podcasting right now, but
you're doing better than me.
No, you're doing well. You're doing very well. Thank you so much. Hope you all enjoy this episode. Check out Clad's work if you are looking for a photographer for your events, maternity stuff, graduation, portraits, whatever. Check out our website, fairly priced for really good quality stuff. With that said, thank you very much and have a good one. Cool. That was fun. That was really cool. I'm glad. That was a really good conversation.
Oh, man.
I just want to see how it sounds